Hey guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today. And before I jump into the actual video and commentary, kind of previewing rounds 1 through 10 on the test server, I want to address the most commonly asked questions from my live stream, which was the first time I've ever live streamed, so don't fault me on how bad it was. I'll get that all that sorted for next time, and then in the comment section as well. So question number 1, when does survival mode come out? No idea. I don't even think the devs know when survival mode comes out. This survival mode was released on test server at like 7 p.m. on a Monday evening with absolutely zero announcement on the forums. So everyone is just as new to this in terms of feedback and what's going on as you guys are. So no idea when survival mode is coming out. It could come out in 2 weeks. It can come out in 2 months. No idea. Question number 2, are the Abyssal Horns returning? Yes. Which leads into question number 3, what are the bosses? Possessed Beast Boy, Kara Ferris, Deathstroke, Darkfather, Cosmic Boy, Catwoman, Conjured Minotaur, Baron Von Savage, Vice, Six-Dimensional Superman. Question number 4, do any old SM rewards come back? No, because as you just saw for the boss list, specific rewards like the Freeze Beam Orbital, Heat Vision Orbital, Shadow Strike, Exosuit, whatever, they're all tied to specific boss fights that are not currently in Season 3. All the other details I'll kind of cover in the commentary as it goes on, but wanted to address those questions first because I know people are going to ask it, and at least now you know at the beginning of the video. So welcome to Survivor Mode Season 3. This was, like I said before, this was quite unexpected on a Monday evening. I got a DM on Discord saying, hey, Survivor Mode's up. I'm like, what? No announcement on the forum, so basically we hopped on. It was funny. Before I started streaming on YouTube, we were just making a group and streaming in Discord. I think we had like 60 people in the voice channel for Discord and spectating. And then multiple groups started running as well. Took us a while to kind of get going and then kind of get everyone spec, because obviously hardly anyone spec'd and ready for SMs or Artifacts Allies. Because a lot of people don't want or don't bother testing regular elite raids and stuff like that, which I can understand. I mean, you get burnt out from it or get bored, but a lot of people are always interested in testing SM, especially the endgame players. So it's always nice. There's always plenty of players to run that SM to test with. So the prevailing theme for Season 3 is that we're going to have a lot of old SM or original SM bosses. They did this because, a couple of changes. The prevailing change will be the 6-man, obviously, that you'll see. That's not a bug that we're missing 2 players to make 8 and an extra 2 players from 4. So that was the first major change they did. And I understand that. I'll see how that plays out. I mean, obviously, it's way too early to make a kind of definite call on how 6-man is going to play out. I think by the end of the rounds, it's still going to end up being like 3 tanks, a healer, maybe 2 healers, and DPS or battle trolls, etc. You're still going to end up needing probably 2-3 tanks for a lot of later rounds because of, as you'll see kind of as the video progresses, there's ads during the boss fights, and usually any kind of boss fight with ads makes it infinitely difficult on round 30 or round 21 to 30 because of the health they're going to have and because of the damage they deal. So you can't just you can't just solo tank like 3 ads. It's basically like Elite Plus at that point. You're not going to be solo tanking all 3 bosses in Elite Plus. You're going to have a tank per ad or per boss. So, like I said before, the other prevailing theme was that the previous SM bosses were returning. This was like hardly anyone, really, maybe like 5% that ran SM during 2014, 2015, 2016, and FOSS in 2017. Like hardly anyone was around for that. So they're only used to like the Season 1 and Season 2 bosses. That's all they know. So and it was really boring and tedious having the same bosses come back each year besides 2 new ones, because they always do themed bosses on round 5 and round 10. So that certainly had to change. That was one of the major feedback points that I gave. And now we have this kind of boss introduction. I mean, there's plenty of bosses to choose from. I'm not saying this combination is perfect, but it certainly is refreshed, because we've got some old heavy hitters. Like Beast Boy is always interesting with his form changes. Like I said, Deathstroke you saw before, but some of the other bosses that will continue on are quite interesting. Darkfather is a new one. Cosmic Boy is a new one from the alert. Six-Dimensional Superman. So there's still plenty of feedback to give. That's why I'm not showing like the entire full round 1 through 10 completion kind of thing, because there's feedback that's going to become. This is basically just to kind of give you a preview of what to expect, especially on this Darkfather fight. Because when you think of it, round 4 is okay, but and excuse me not having Gale, I just didn't have it set up on that tank armory and I was in combat, so I have to. Normally you would always have Gale or any kind of CC move with this. I just had chromatic emitters for this case. But yeah, think of it like around 24, you're going to have all these ads that continually to spawn, just like the duo. So every like a set amount of time, you have 2 ads spawn. So in the end, you're going to get a dog pile of ads around 24, and those are going to, you know, as long as you can CC them, you're okay, or stun them. But when they break out or get immune, you know, they're going to hit you like a truck. And then that, I mean, Darkfather's got his orbital. So I mean, there's always special boss mechanics per individual boss that you have to get used to and tank. Some of it, the interesting part and what the part needs feedback on is that a lot of these bosses that were from the original survival modes are a lot different because you could face tank them. So you wouldn't have never have thought to gray range tank ever, like any of the tanks, like any of the bosses back in the day. You always had tanking, like, you know, right in the face, doing like melee tanking. The only one that you really gray range tanking, and even then it's not, you were just basically kiting him and keeping one tank in out of max range, was General Fabricant and Oa, just because of his like rifle grenades. You didn't want him shooting at the group, so basically you're running around kind of using line of sight. Other than that, Cosmic Boy is the same as from the alert. That's why we've got all these spheres spinning. We've got the charges, molecular charges, so red and blue again. He does that primary attack, which I die a few times too, just because I'm too close. And then we get metal. A player gets metal balled, and you have to break them out and break his shield by throwing the things on the side. So basically, at that point, it's just a carbon copy from the alert. But they always do that. They always do like themed releases. So in this case, it was Cosmic Boy, and round 10 will be 6-dimensional Superman. Now, in terms of rewards, I will cover a video on the rewards. I'm going to hopefully either A, get higher rounds so I can actually unlock the rewards, or maybe if Meps is nice to me, or I'm nice to Meps, then he'll give me the unlock so I can show you guys all the complete, like even around 30 rewards, just as a preview. But other than that, you can get special drops on 5, 15, and 25, just like you can on 10, 20, 30. Those ones are not aware of yet because they drop actually in the actual content. They're not on the vendor. The only around 30 reward on the vendor was a cracked source material, which means the same thing we can't preview. 25 had an accessory, which is just the same accessories you saw from the around 25. Catwoman's going to be an interesting one. Same thing. Catwoman being 26. We have Catwoman used to be the tank killer back in the day. You'd always have to body block with like 2 or 3 tanks in OA just to be able to survive, because if Catwoman got out, like her lunge used to be one shot. So every time she lunged a player, which you can see happening all the time in this round, that player would just be dead. So it's got to really quickly a group wipe. For some reason, don't ask me, they started the Poseidon damage, that those blue pools that you're going to see now after round 6 through whatever, I think every round after 6. I'm not sure why they're in there as a rim mechanic. There's no kind of link to Poseidon at all. That's from that Poseidon alert. So no idea about that. Those are kind of annoying. I mean, I understand dying in the center, but the radius is so large that you have to keep canceling his might and canceling your channels to move. And if you catch the outside radius, you still get hit for like 300k. So I mean, that's a little unacceptable. I'd rather just be in the center damage to die. Conjure Minotaur, I'll have to see on round 17. Because he's taken way too much damage. We didn't even hit the chains. He didn't lunge the chains at all. I think he actually tried to lunge the chains, but then didn't actually get stunned. So once again, I mean, there's plenty of broken things in this round 1 through 10. That's why I don't want to show the entire thing. I just want to kind of show clips of it. Because there's so many instances where we're not sure if it's working as intended or not, or have to provide feedback. I think it was right now, he charged the chain, but didn't actually get stunned. Yeah, right there. In no effect. That's supposed to be a hard stun. So, and he's taking increased damage. So, the one thing I don't know in terms of scaling is that I wouldn't have put it past them where they scaled the health to 4 players instead of 6. And that's why we're doing kind of so much damage and kind of speeding through this. But at the same time, rounds 1 through 10 are supposed to be easy anyway. Round 1 through 10 is not supposed to be hard. That's supposed to be the more casual, like normal people farming it for loot and rewards and stuff like that, because your data chips will increase as the round increases. Baron Something Savage is one of the bosses that returned from the previous seasons. There is another one as well in terms of Conjure Minotaur and Deathstroke. Conjure Minotaur had to come back because people really like the Abyssal Horn style. I mean, really, really like the Abyssal Horn style. So everyone's kind of concerned that was coming back. And I mean, it's a semi-annoying fight, but I mean, at the same time, it still requires coordination, teamwork to make sure his focus blast is lunged and to make sure that he charges the chains. So I understand it. Deathstroke, I mean, I wouldn't have voted to have Deathstroke return. It's whatever. I mean, there's plenty of bosses they could have done, but they decided to bring him back. That's fine. I mean, you still got plenty of new bosses. And then Baron Savage was the other one. Baron Savage is like the easy gimmick round. I mean, that's not going to be any problem with him at 28 even. All you have to do is block the skull, not to get really too much in melee with his staff kind of poke. But it's not an issue at all. Vice was another interesting one. This is the same thing. I mean, he was interesting in the original survival mode days. I mean, it's going to be interesting how it plays out in like 6 people, because he's constantly moving. You don't want Vice to catch you as a tank, because he's going to basically do this head bash on you that juggles you. And he's not really, like, Vice doesn't do like any kind of typical weapon combos for counters. He's just basically going to chase you. He's going to do his blood loss. He's going to pull you in, so you have to make sure you have immunities. So it was a unique boss fight at the time, because it was different than just like a normal tank and spank fight. So this one's going to be requiring a lot of kiting, running around the room. He's quite fast. He throws those balls out there that are heavy damage as well. So if you get hit by that in the higher rounds, it's most likely going to be one shot on, say, like 29. So it's Ultimate Soldier was just really tedious and a lot of RNG to it with that lightning. So after 2 seasons of fighting Ultimate Soldier on round 19 or round 29, it just got super tedious. I'm glad they changed that. And Vice is interesting. 6-dimensional Superman is the same one from the raid. So we don't get to have mirrors, but he does have the solar flare, where if one player doesn't block, it wipes the entire group. So that's interesting. And we also have the statue spawn. So basically, the statue spawn every 25%. So then every 25% you get an extra 2 statues that come out. So in the beginning, the problem is Mara. Then you have those water golems. So it leads to a little bit overwhelming hit and fight, because these are quite tanky even for round 10. And you got this mental distortion pulse, which is the arrow above my head, which for some reason, I don't know why they put that in SM, because we can't cleanse it, because obviously there's no Martial Manhunter. So we just have to deal with this dot that's ticking for quite some time. So once again, that's a feedback point. But round 10 is actually quite interesting. It's going to be round 30 is going to be infinitely interesting, because these statues are going to hit like trucks. We've got the water golem ads. You're going to have like have a tank per statue basically, and then one for the boss. And then you still got to worry about his yellow heat vision, blocking solar flare. So if you get block broker and anything like that when you're doing solar flare, one person not blocking can lead to an entire group wipe. So overall, my initial impressions are good. It's going to be largely dependent on how feedback is taken, because I mean that's a huge thing. Because I mean there's going to be tweaks that have to be done. There's going to have to be mechanics that are explained why this Poseidon stuff doesn't disappear, the mental distortion and stuff like that. So there's plenty of feedback points, but I believe we have a good foundation to start with. Am I saying this survival mode is going to be way harder than season 1 and season 2? I mean, that's too early to tell, because I haven't seen anything past 20 yet. So I mean, survival mode doesn't start until around 20 in this new kind of version of SM. You can kind of get a feel for it, but the way to consider is like round 1 through 10 is like regular. 11 through 20 is elite, and then like 21 through 30 are elite plus, technically, how they want to scale it. But we'll see you in the next video, guys. I'll bring you all the updates.